Evelyn Gray's life was one of quiet routine and whispered regrets. A librarian by day, a dreamer by night, she had always felt like an outsider looking in, both in her small coastal town and in the world itself. But everything changed the moment she received the letter. It arrived in the early hours of a rainy Thursday, slipped under her front door on heavy parchment sealed with a shimmering emerald wax stamped with a curious symbol, a peacock feather intertwined with a crescent moon. The handwriting was elegant and flowing, the ink a deep violet that shimmered faintly in the lamplight. "You are invited to the House of Whispers," the letter began, "a mansion hidden between worlds, where secrets breathe and mysteries dance in the twilight. Come at dusk tomorrow. Follow the path of the forgotten lanterns. Trust your instincts. No sender, no address, no explanation, only the invitation." Evelyn's pulse quickened. She folded the letter carefully and tucked it into her coat pocket. The mundane weight of her life suddenly felt lighter, charged with possibility. The House of Whispers, it sounded like something out of the stories she shelved on dusty library shelves. Was it real? Was it safe? She didn't know, but a fire ignited within her, one she had long buried beneath years of caution. The next evening, as twilight bled its purple and gold hues across the sky, Evelyn stepped out. She followed the winding cobblestone path behind her house, a route she had never noticed before. Along the way, tiny lanterns flickered into life one by one, casting dancing shadows that seemed to beckon her forward. The air grew warmer, scented with jasmine and old parchment, carrying a melody so faint it felt like a secret humming just beyond hearing. The trees arched overhead, their branches weaving a natural cathedral that sheltered her journey. And then, suddenly, the path ended. Before her rose an enormous wrought iron gate adorned with the same peacock feather and crescent moon symbol she had seen on the letter. The gate creaked open silently, as if expecting her. Evelyn hesitated, her heart pounding in her ears. Beyond the gate lay a sprawling estate illuminated by hundreds of lanterns hanging from twisting iron poles and ancient trees. The mansion itself was breathtaking, a blend of architectural styles that felt both timeless and otherworldly. Turrets soared like watchful sentinels, windows glowed with inviting amber light, and intricate mosaics shimmered on the stone walls, telling stories she could not yet understand. She stepped through the gate, the chill of the evening melting into a comforting warmth. A soft voice whispered on the wind, as if the house itself spoke to her, "Welcome, Evelyn. Your journey begins now." Inside the grand entrance hall, she was surrounded by a mosaic of blues and whites tiles patterned with stars, waves, and feathers that sparkled under the glow of an ornate chandelier shaped like unfolding wings. The air was thick with the scent of sandalwood and vanilla, mingling with the faintest trace of old ink and forgotten pages. The hall was vast, dominated by a spiraling staircase that disappeared into shadow above, and 5 arched doorways lining the walls, each framed by columns of gleaming white marble. Above each arch was a distinct mosaic symbol, a crescent moon, a shell, a flame, a peacock, and the last an eye, wide and watchful. Evelyn's eyes darted between the doors. Her fingers tingled as if the house itself urged her to choose. Her instincts, wild and untrained, pulled her toward the door marked by the crescent moon, the same symbol that had led her here. She approached, noticing the door's handle was carved delicately in the shape of a crescent, its edges sharp and cool beneath her touch. As she pressed gently, the door swung open with a whisper, revealing a dim corridor lit by lanterns emitting a soft pinkish glow. The hallway was narrow, walls lined with dark wood paneling that absorbed the light like shadows drinking dusk. Evelyn stepped inside, the floorboards creaking underfoot, and felt a thrill of anticipation ripple through her. At the corridor's end were two doors, both firmly locked. But she knew this was only the beginning. Somewhere within this house were puzzles to solve, secrets to uncover, and stories waiting to be told. The House of Whispers was alive, and it had chosen her as its guest, its seeker, its storyteller. As she turned to face the corridor, a sudden movement caught her eye, a flash of iridescent feathers slipping through an open archway nearby. A peacock, its eyes gleaming with an almost human intelligence, watched her for a heartbeat before disappearing into the shadows. Evelyn's breath caught. The journey had truly begun. The moment the peacock vanished into the dim archway, Evelyn felt a shiver, not from cold, but from a sudden awareness that the house was watching her back. The soft murmur of footsteps echoed faintly, though no one else seemed to be in the corridor. She took a steadying breath and moved forward, her eyes adjusting to the gentle pink glow cast by the hanging lanterns above. The walls were lined with heavy tapestries embroidered with strange symbols, some familiar, others wholly alien. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and a whisper of jasmine, as if the mansion held its breath, waiting. At the end of the hallway, two locked doors loomed, one marked with an intricate pattern of stars, the other embossed with a swirling flame. Evelyn ran her fingers along the cold brass handles, but neither budged. Determined, she turned to explore the narrow corridor that branched to the right, guided by a flickering light deeper within. The path led her into a vast chamber filled with towering shelves of ancient books. The space was larger than she had expected, the ceiling disappearing into shadows high above. This was the Library of Echoes. Books of every shape and size filled the shelves, some bound in cracked leather, others shimmering with silver script that caught the lantern light like stars trapped in pages. The walls were lined with mirrors that reflected the room infinitely, creating the illusion of endless knowledge and endless corridors. As Evelyn stepped cautiously between the shelves, she heard the faintest whisper, like voices carried on the wind, echoing through the glass and pages. The whispers were not words she could understand, but a melody that tugged at something deep inside her, a memory perhaps, or a promise. Her eyes caught sight of an old wooden desk in the corner, covered in scattered parchments, and an open journal filled with handwriting that glowed faintly with violet ink. She reached for it, her fingertips brushing the delicate pages. The journal told the story of a previous visitor, a seeker much like herself who had wandered the house decades ago. The entries spoke of trials, hidden doors, and a secret locked within the walls of the library, a puzzle of shadows that, when solved, would reveal the path forward. Evelyn's heart quickened. The mystery was real. The house had a language of its own, and the Library of Echoes was the key. She rose and turned her attention to the mirrors. As she peered into one, her reflection shimmered and changed, showing fleeting images, a peacock spreading its feathers, a silver key glinting in the moonlight, and a spiral staircase descending into darkness. Suddenly, the room's temperature dropped, and the whispering voices grew louder, swirling around her in an invisible dance. From the corner of her eye, Evelyn noticed a shadow detach itself from the wall, a figure cloaked in shifting darkness. It held out a hand, offering a riddle etched in glowing runes. In light I hide, in dark I dwell. Between the pages, I weave my spell. Find me where the shadows play, and open the path to break the day. Evelyn swallowed hard, realizing this was the puzzle she needed to solve. Her gaze swept the shelves, searching for anything out of place. Among the many books, one stood out, a tome with a cover of deep midnight blue, decorated with a crescent moon embossed in silver. She pulled it from the shelf. The moment she did, the mirrors flickered and the shadow vanished. The walls hummed softly as the previously locked door embossed with the swirling flame slowly creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward. Evelyn took a moment to steady her nerves, then stepped onto the stairs. Each step echoed like a heartbeat in the silence. The air grew warmer, fragrant with sandalwood and wildflowers. At the base, she found herself in a cavernous room, illuminated by bioluminescent plants that glowed with a gentle blue light. The walls shimmered with ancient murals depicting peacocks, moons, and flames intertwined in a cosmic dance. In the center of the room lay an ornate box, carved from ivory and inlaid with turquoise stones. A soft hum radiated from it, pulsing in rhythm with Evelyn's own heartbeat. As she reached out to touch it, a soft voice whispered behind her, "Only the worthy may unlock the heart of the house." Evelyn spun around but saw no one. The air was thick with magic and expectation. Gathering courage, she lifted the lid. Inside rested a single, delicate feather iridescent with every color of the dawn, shimmering like the peacock she had seen. Clutched beneath it was a note, written in the same violet ink. "You have taken the first step. Trust in your heart, and the house will reveal its secrets. But beware, not all paths lead to light." Evelyn felt a surge of determination. This was no ordinary mansion. It was a living enigma, a labyrinth of mind and spirit, and she was now entwined in its story. As she pocketed the feather, the walls around her began to pulse softly, and somewhere above, the faint cry of a peacock echoed once more. The journey had only just begun. Evelyn emerged from the glowing cavern into a narrow corridor that twisted and turned like the coils of a great serpent. The iridescent feather she'd tucked safely into her pocket seemed to pulse softly with an otherworldly light, as if alive and aware of the mansion's heartbeat. The air grew warmer and sweeter, perfumed with the scent of blooming night flowers and damp earth. The walls around her began to dissolve, revealing an open archway that led into a breathtaking garden unlike any garden she had ever seen. The garden of forgotten dreams stretched wide under a deep indigo sky, where stars shimmered with uncanny brilliance. Exotic plants glowed faintly, their leaves whispering in a language just beyond understanding. The flowers were like delicate flames, some silver, some sapphire, others as golden as the sun's last rays. In the center of the garden stood a grand marble fountain, water cascading gently from the mouths of stone peacocks carved with exquisite detail. The water sparkled like liquid crystal, reflecting the stars above and the myriad colors of the garden's strange flora. Evelyn stepped forward cautiously, drawn to the fountain's soft murmuring. As she approached, a shadow detached itself from the surrounding foliage, a slender figure clad in flowing robes woven from moonlight and shadow. Its face was obscured beneath a hood, but its eyes glowed with a warm amber light. "Welcome, seeker," the figure intoned, its voice a soothing melody that seemed to echo from the very air itself. "You have come far, yet the path grows more treacherous. The house reveals what the heart is ready to see, but the garden tests what the soul is willing to face." Evelyn's heart pounded, but she nodded. "I'm ready." The figure extended a hand, and with a subtle gesture, the garden shifted. The glowing plants swayed, their whispers rising into a chorus that filled the air like a haunting lullaby. From the shadows, 4 statues emerged, each representing one of the mansion's sacred symbols: the crescent moon, the shell, the flame, and the peacock. "You must choose your trial," the figure explained. "Each path is different, some are perilous, others deceptive. But all hold a truth you must grasp to move forward." Evelyn's eyes flicked between the statues. Her fingers brushed the feather in her pocket, an anchor, a reminder. The crescent moon called to her, promising wisdom. The shell suggested secrets hidden beneath the surface. The flame whispered of transformation and courage. And the peacock promised revelation and rebirth. Her mind reeled as memories flashed her life's quiet loneliness, the fire ignited by the mysterious invitation, the haunting image of the peacock slipping through the hallways. Which path should she take? She stepped closer to the statue of the flame, drawn by its fierce glow. As her fingers grazed the stone, the garden darkened abruptly. The stars vanished, and the moon was swallowed by a thick, swirling mist. Evelyn gasped as the air grew heavy and charged with electricity. Around her, shadows morphed into writhing shapes, whispering doubts and fears that clawed at her mind. "You are unworthy," they hissed. "You will fail. Turn back." Evelyn clenched her fists, fighting the rising panic. She reminded herself of the feather, its steady warmth anchoring her spirit. "Why do you test me?" she demanded, voice trembling but resolute. A deep voice answered from the mist. "Because only those who face their fears can claim the house's secrets. Your courage will be your guide, or your undoing." The shadows surged forward, and Evelyn found herself thrust into a tempest of memories, moments of failure, loss, and regret flashing before her eyes. She saw the face of her estranged sister, the arguments that had torn them apart, the missed opportunities, the whispered what-ifs. Tears blurred her vision, but she refused to yield. She took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the feather fill her with calm. "I am not my mistakes," she whispered. "I am more than my fears." Slowly, the mist began to recede, the stars returned to the sky, and the garden blossomed anew, more vibrant and alive than before. The figure in moonlight reappeared, nodding solemnly. You have passed the trial of flame. Your spirit is strong, but the journey is far from over. Take this. From the folds of its robe, the figure produced a small vial filled with liquid that shimmered like molten gold. This elixir of reflection will help you see what lies beneath the surface truths hidden even from yourself. Evelyn accepted it with a trembling hand, feeling the weight of destiny settle on her shoulders. As she turned to leave the garden, the peacock feather in her pocket vibrated once more, and from the far end of the garden, the faint, iridescent glow of a peacock's plumage appeared. It watched her silently, a guardian and guide. Her journey deeper into the House of Whispers had only just begun, and with every step, the mansion's secrets grew darker and more enchanting. Evelyn stepped out from the garden of forgotten dreams, the vial of elixir of reflection warm in her palm. The mansion around her seemed to pulse with anticipation, as if sensing her growing courage. The peacock feather in her pocket shimmered faintly, as if encouraging her onward. She found herself standing before a grand hallway unlike any other she had seen, the Hall of Mirrors. The walls were lined with tall, ornate mirrors framed in silver and obsidian, their surfaces flickering like liquid glass. The floor beneath her feet was polished marble, reflecting the myriad of reflections that stretched infinitely in every direction. Above, an enormous chandelier made of crystal droplets hung like a constellation, scattering light in delicate rainbows. As Evelyn walked forward, she noticed something disconcerting. The reflections in the mirrors did not always mimic her movements perfectly. Sometimes, her reflection paused a moment longer, or smiled faintly when she did not. Other times, it seemed to step out of sync, moving independently as if aware of her presence. A sudden chill ran down her spine. She was not alone. Her steps echoed in the vast hall, and whispers rose around her, soft, unintelligible voices swirling like a breeze through the glass. The air was thick with a scent she could not place, a mixture of old parchment, winter pine, and something metallic, like cold steel. At the end of the hall, she spotted a large mirror unlike the others. Its frame was carved with intricate symbols, peacock feathers interlaced with moons and flames. The glass was darker, almost opaque, reflecting not her image, but an endless starry sky. Evelyn approached cautiously. Her reflection appeared for a moment, then dissolved into swirling mist, revealing a hidden doorway behind the mirror. Taking a deep breath, she stepped through. On the other side was a dimly lit chamber lined with ancient tomes and peculiar artifacts resting on marble pedestals. The room smelled of dust and incense, and a faint golden glow emanated from a crystal orb floating at the center. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. "Welcome, Evelyn Gray," it said, calm yet commanding. Evelyn turned sharply to see a figure seated on a high-backed chair draped in deep velvet, a woman with silver hair cascading like a waterfall, eyes shimmering with wisdom and sadness. "I am Seraphina," the woman introduced herself. "Keeper of the secrets." Evelyn's heart raced. "Keeper of the secrets." Seraphina nodded. "This mansion is alive with memories, truths, and illusions. Few are chosen to walk its halls, fewer still to understand its heart. Evelyn felt a mix of awe and fear. Why me? Because, Seraphina said, rising gracefully, you possess the courage to face not only the mansion's trials but the shadows within yourself. She gestured to the orb, which pulsed softly. This is the eye of truth. It reveals what lies hidden, secrets you have buried, wounds you have yet to heal. Evelyn stepped closer. As the orb's light touched her skin, visions flashed before her eyes, fragments of her past, memories she had long suppressed. She saw her childhood home, the laughter of her sister, the argument that drove them apart. She saw herself, retreating into silence and solitude, building walls of fear and regret. Tears welled in her eyes. But why show me this now? Evelyn whispered. Because to proceed, Seraphina said gently, you must forgive yourself. Only then will the mansion's path open fully. Evelyn closed her eyes, feeling the weight of years lift slowly from her chest. The mansion was not just a place of puzzles and shadows, it was a mirror to her soul. Suddenly, the chamber trembled. The orb shattered in a burst of golden light, revealing a small silver key resting on a velvet cushion. Seraphina smiled. The key to the Chamber of Flames. Your next trial awaits. Taking the key, Evelyn felt a surge of hope and resolve. The House of Whispers was guiding her, but the path was hers alone to walk. As she turned to leave, Seraphina's voice echoed softly behind her. Remember, Evelyn, not all secrets bring peace. Some awaken deeper shadows. Back in the Hall of Mirrors, Evelyn paused before the great mirror door. Using the silver key, she unlocked it, revealing a corridor shimmering with heat, an entrance to the Chamber of Flames. Her heart quickened as she stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face the trial that would test her spirit like never before. Evelyn's footsteps echoed softly as she crossed the threshold into the Chamber of Flames. The air was thick with warmth, tingling against her skin like a living thing. Flickering torches lined the walls, their flames dancing without smoke or heat, casting playful shadows that twisted and turned in an eternal ballet. The chamber was vast, circular, and its ceiling seemed to disappear into swirling embers and sparks that shimmered like distant stars. The floor beneath her feet was a mosaic of fiery reds and molten golds, depicting phoenixes rising from ashes and serpents coiled in eternal loops. At the center of the room stood a pedestal made of black obsidian, gleaming darkly against the fiery backdrop. Upon it rested a single, brilliant ruby, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to beat like a heart. As Evelyn approached, a sudden voice echoed from the chamber's depths, deep, resonant, and filled with both challenge and compassion. Welcome, Seeker, it intoned. This is the trial of the heart. To claim the flame's gift, you must face your deepest truths and conquer the fears that bind you. A swirling flame erupted from the pedestal, forming a shape, a woman, radiant and fierce, with eyes like molten gold and hair like roaring fire. I am Ignis, the flame guardian declared. To proceed, you must walk through the fire not to be burned, but to be transformed. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. The flames danced invitingly, yet threatened with their raw power. She stepped back, uncertainty flooding her. Ignis smiled gently. Fear is natural, but it is also a cage. To free yourself, you must first understand what holds you prisoner. The chamber seemed to pulse, and Evelyn suddenly found herself surrounded by vision scenes from her life projected into the fiery mist. She saw moments of doubt, times she had stayed silent when she should have spoken, moments she had turned away from love, choices made out of fear. Faces of friends she had pushed away, the echo of lost chances. The fire whispered truths harsh and undeniable. Why did you hide? Why did you turn from connection? What chains hold your heart? Tears spilled down Evelyn's cheeks. The weight of years of loneliness and self-judgment pressed upon her like a heavy shroud. But amidst the flames, she found a flicker of hope, a memory of laughter shared with her sister in sunlit fields, a hand held in kindness during a stormy night, the warmth of dreams she once dared to dream. Gathering her courage, Evelyn stepped forward, into the flames. But instead of burning, the fire wrapped her gently, a cocoon of light and warmth. She felt old wounds sear away and a radiant energy flood her veins. Ignis nodded approvingly. You have embraced the trial of the heart. The flame recognizes your strength and your willingness to heal. The ruby on the pedestal shattered into a cascade of sparks, which spiraled into Evelyn's chest. She gasped as a powerful warmth blossomed within her, a newfound confidence and clarity. From the shadows, a second key appeared, this one forged from molten gold, engraved with the symbol of the peacock. Ignis's voice echoed softly. Take the key of renewal. The next path is yours to choose. But beware, for the house tests both mind and soul. Evelyn grasped the key, feeling its heat and power. She knew the journey ahead would be even more challenging, but also that she was no longer the frightened woman who had stepped through the gate. As she left the chamber of flames, the mansion seemed to hum in approval, the walls alive with ancient magic. Outside, the garden's iridescent peacock feather fluttered in a gentle breeze, guiding her towards the next trial. Her footsteps were steady, her spirit aflame with determination. The House of Whispers was no longer a mystery, it was her destiny. Evelyn clutched the molten gold key of renewal tightly, feeling the steady warmth pulsing through her palm. The House of Whispers had revealed much, yet the path ahead was cloaked in deeper mysteries. The air itself seemed charged with anticipation as she stepped from the glowing garden into a new realm, the labyrinth of whispers. The entrance was a towering archway wrought from twisting vines of silver and obsidian, entwined with faintly glowing runes that pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Beyond it stretched a sprawling maze of corridors, dark and winding, the walls lined with ancient carvings depicting figures lost in perpetual dance, their forms shifting and shimmering like smoke. As Evelyn ventured inside, the whispers began faint at first, then growing into a cacophony of voices weaving through the shadows. They spoke in a tongue she almost understood, filled with longing, regret, and hope. Suddenly, the ground beneath her trembled. The walls shimmered, and the labyrinth shifted, reconfiguring itself as if alive. Evelyn realized this was no ordinary maze, it was a sentient puzzle, designed not just to confuse, but to challenge the very essence of those who dared enter. With every turn, the whispers guided and misled her, echoing fragments of memories, some hers, some not. Images flickered before her eyes, a young girl laughing beneath cherry blossoms, a man's shadow dissolving into mist, a burning house swallowed by night. She paused before a grand mirror embedded in the labyrinth wall. As she looked into it, her reflection twisted and multiplied, each version showing a different path, a different choice, a different self. Among the reflections, one caught her eye, a version of herself draped in shadows, eyes cold and distant, a silent warning. Before she could react, a figure stepped from the shadows, tall, cloaked in midnight blue, face obscured but voice clear and resonant. "I am Kalen, guardian of shadows," the figure intoned. "This labyrinth tests not your sight, but your soul. Only by confronting your darkest fears can you hope to find the truth you seek." Evelyn's heart raced. "What must I do?" Kalen extended a gloved hand, revealing a small, intricately carved box. Within lies a riddle. Solve it, and the labyrinth will reveal its heart. Fail, and be lost in the whispers forever. Evelyn took the box, feeling its weight and cold intricacy. She opened it carefully. Inside was a single note, written in elegant script. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have nobody, but I come alive with wind. What am I?" Her mind raced. The answer stirred at the edge of her memory. "An echo," she whispered. Kalen nodded solemnly. "Then you are ready." With a wave of his hand, the labyrinth walls shimmered, revealing a hidden passage bathed in silver light. Evelyn stepped forward, the whispers now a gentle melody, guiding her deeper. At the labyrinth's heart, she found a chamber filled with floating lanterns, each carrying a flickering flame of different colors. The air hummed with magic. In the center stood a pedestal, atop which rested a crystal shaped like a peacock's eye, radiant and mysterious. Evelyn reached out, and as her fingers touched the crystal, memories flooded her, visions of the house itself, its origins as a place between worlds, built to test, heal, and transform lost souls. The whispers became clearer voices, offering guidance and comfort. As she lifted the crystal, a surge of energy filled her, unlocking new strength and insight. Kalen's voice echoed softly, "You have danced with shadows and emerged whole. The house acknowledges your spirit. The final path awaits, but beware, the deepest trials lie ahead." Evelyn felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The house was alive, breathing with ancient power, and she was entwined in its fate. Stepping back into the shifting corridors, she knew that the next steps would challenge all she had learned and all she was willing to become. The corridors beyond the labyrinth of whispers seemed to pulse with a rhythm all their own, echoing the heartbeat of the mansion itself. Evelyn's steps were steady, yet every fiber of her being trembled with anticipation. The House of Whispers was no longer merely a puzzle, it was a living entity, and she was a part of its intricate dance. As she rounded a corner, Evelyn found herself before a grand archway carved from translucent crystal, glowing faintly with ethereal light. The air grew cooler here, tinged with the scent of rain and distant storms. Above the arch, an inscription shimmered in silver letters. Within lies the chamber of reflections where truth and illusion entwine. Only by peeling back the veil of truth can one glimpse the path beyond. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn stepped through the archway. The chamber was vast, a domed room lined with mirrors of every size and shape. Their surfaces rippled like water, distorting reflections, and creating a kaleidoscope of images. The floor was polished obsidian, reflecting the myriad colors cast from hanging prisms suspended from the ceiling. In the center of the room floated a delicate veil woven from shimmering threads of light and shadow, its form shifting and flowing like smoke caught in a gentle breeze. Evelyn felt a pull, a calling to step closer, to unravel the mysteries hidden behind the veil. As she reached out, the room shifted. Voices whispered in a language she could almost comprehend, memories flooding her mind in vivid flashes. She saw her own reflection split and multiply, each image a different version of herself, the timid girl she once was, the fearful woman she had become, the brave seeker she was now. A sudden presence made her turn. Across the room stood a figure cloaked in silvery robes, face obscured by a mask carved with the symbol of an open eye. The figure spoke, voice soft but filled with authority. "I am Elendra, the weaver of truths. To see clearly, you must first face your own illusions." Evelyn nodded, steeling herself. Elendra extended her hand, revealing a small mirror framed with entwined peacock feathers and crescent moons. "This mirror reveals what lies beneath the surface. Look deeply, and you may find what the house desires you to see." Evelyn took the mirror, its surface cool and smooth. As she gazed into it, her reflection blurred, replaced by scenes she had long buried, moments of betrayal, wounds inflicted by loved ones and by herself, choices made in fear rather than hope. Tears streamed down her face as she confronted these shadows. But then, the mirror shifted again, revealing a radiant light breaking through darkness: forgiveness, love, and renewal. Evelyn whispered, "I see now. To move forward, I must forgive myself." Elendra smiled, nodding. Wisdom born of self-compassion is the key to the next door. The veil before Evelyn shimmered and parted, revealing a doorway glowing with celestial light. Stepping through, Evelyn found herself in a quiet garden, bathed in the gentle glow of dawn. The air was fresh with promise, filled with the scent of blooming lilies and soft rain. On a marble bench sat an old journal, its pages yellowed but carefully kept. Evelyn opened it, reading the words of those who had come before, seekers like herself, each challenged and transformed by the house. She understood now that the mansion was a mirror reflecting not just the secrets within its walls but the truth within each visitor. As she closed the journal, a soft voice spoke behind her. "Your journey is nearing its culmination, Evelyn Gray. But remember, the greatest mysteries are often those we hold within." Turning, Evelyn saw Elendra's mask had vanished, revealing a kind face full of gentle strength. Trust your heart, for it will guide you through the final shadows. With renewed resolve, Evelyn rose, stepping forward into the dawn-lit garden, ready to face the last trials the House of Whispers had in store. As Evelyn stepped deeper into the dawn-lit garden, the soft glow of morning gradually dimmed into a twilight hue, casting long, mysterious shadows over ancient stone pathways and whispering leaves. The air around her thickened, shimmering with a subtle magic that seemed to hum just beneath the surface. The House of Whispers was shifting, changing like a living being responding to her progress. Ahead, she spotted an archway draped with silken veils that fluttered despite the stillness of the air. Above it hung an inscription glowing faintly in silver script, "Beyond the veil of twilight lies the final trial guarded by the Watchers of Fate." Evelyn felt a surge of both excitement and trepidation. Her journey had brought her here, but what awaited beyond the veil was unknown, and possibly more dangerous than anything before. As she moved toward the arch, a sudden chorus of voices rose around her, echoing from every direction. From the shadows emerged four figures, each distinct, yet united by an aura of ancient power. The first was a tall man cloaked in emerald robes, his eyes sharp and clear like a hawk's. "I am Sa'elam, the Watcher of Wisdom," he declared. Beside him stood a woman garbed in robes of deep sapphire, her gaze serene yet unyielding. "I am Lyra, the Guardian of Courage." The third figure radiated a fierce warmth, flames seemed to dance along her golden hair. "I am Solara, the Keeper of Passion." Lastly, a figure shrouded in twilight blue, her eyes reflecting the endless night sky. "And I am Nyx, the Sentinel of Shadows." Their voices harmonized as they spoke together. "To pass beyond the veil, you must face the challenge of the Guardians. Each of us holds a key, but to earn it, you must prove your heart's truth." Evelyn swallowed hard but nodded. "I'm ready." Sa'elam stepped forward first, holding out a crystal sphere filled with swirling mists. "Wisdom tests your mind. Solve the riddle, and the key is yours." He spoke a riddle. "I am the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space, the beginning of every end, and the end of every place. What am I?" Evelyn's brow furrowed as she considered the riddle carefully. Slowly, a smile spread. "The letter E." Sa'elam's eyes twinkled approvingly as he handed over a gleaming silver key. Lyra stepped forward next, her sapphire eyes piercing. "Courage challenges your soul. Face your fear, and the key will be yours." Suddenly, the garden around Evelyn darkened, and she found herself standing before a shadowy vision, a memory of her deepest fear, abandonment. The figure of her sister, walking away into the mist, fading from sight. Evelyn's heart clenched painfully. But this time, she did not flee. Instead, she called out, "Wait. I forgive you. I forgive myself." The shadow softened, and warmth flooded her chest. Lyra smiled, placing a sapphire key in Evelyn's hand. So Lara's turn came, her flame hair flickering. Passion tests your will. Reveal your desire, and claim the key. Evelyn's thoughts turned inward, her secret dreams, the fire that had rekindled since receiving the invitation to the house. She whispered, I desire connection, to heal, to belong. So Lara nodded and offered a fiery golden key. Finally, NYX approached, her twilight eyes calm yet intimidating. Shadows test your truth. Accept your darkness, and the final key is yours. The garden dimmed into near darkness, shadows swirling around Evelyn. She saw fragments of her own flaws, pride, doubt, anger reflected in the night. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn whispered, I am not perfect, but I embrace all parts of myself. NYX's form shimmered, and she handed Evelyn the last key, a deep obsidian one inlaid with tiny stars. With all 4 keys in hand, the guardians stepped back, their forms dissolving into mist. Before Evelyn, the silken veils parted, revealing a grand door shimmering with all the colors of twilight. She stepped forward, heart pounding, knowing that what lay beyond could change everything. The grand door before Evelyn pulsed softly with the colors of twilight, hues of violet, amber, and deep indigo swirling in endless patterns like the closing moments of a day. Each step she took towards it felt like crossing the threshold not just of a room, but of fate itself. As she reached out and placed her 4 keys into the corresponding slots embedded in the door, silver, sapphire, gold, and obsidian, a harmonious chime echoed through the air, resonating in her bones. The door responded by slowly swinging open, revealing a vast chamber bathed in the gentle light of 1,000 floating lanterns. The room was unlike any she had seen before, a celestial observatory suspended between worlds. The ceiling was a shimmering dome of stars, constellations shifting softly as if alive. Around her, telescopes of ancient design pointed towards the heavens, and the walls were adorned with maps of galaxies unknown. A figure stood at the chamber's center, tall, cloaked in midnight blue embroidered with stars, the same deep eyes that Evelyn had seen in NYX's form. But now the face was clear, serene, ageless, and wise. I am Astriel, guardian of the final threshold, the figure said, voice like the night wind. You have proven your worth, Evelyn Gray. But the last trial is one of truth, a choice that will shape not only your fate but the destiny of the house itself. Evelyn felt a mix of fear and resolve. What must I do? Astriel extended a hand, revealing 2 orbs, one glowing with brilliant white light, the other shrouded in shadow. These represent 2 paths. The light offers understanding, peace, and renewal. The shadow holds power, knowledge, and transformation, but at a cost. The chamber pulsed as if the stars themselves waited for her decision. Evelyn's mind raced. Every step of her journey, every trial faced and conquered, had led to this moment. She reached out tentatively and touched the orb of light. Suddenly, the room dissolved, and she found herself standing on a vast cliff under a dawn sky, the House of Whispers behind her, shimmering like a dream. A soft voice echoed within her heart, the journey changes those who walk it. You carry the house within you now. Evelyn turned to see a peacock, its feathers blazing with colors of dawn, standing gracefully beside her. As the sun rose, casting golden light over the world, Evelyn felt a deep peace settle in her soul. The trials had transformed her, revealing not only the secrets of the house but the strength within herself. The House of Whispers stood silent behind her, waiting for the next seeker, the next story. Evelyn stood at the edge of the cliff, the peacock beside her radiant in the soft morning light. But the serenity was only a fleeting breath before the winds of destiny pulled her back towards the House of Whispers. The mansion, though silent, hummed with a renewed power, its walls alive with ancient whispers and waiting secrets. As she turned, the world around her shifted, folding like a tapestry being rewoven. The house was no longer just a place but a portal between past and present, shadow and light, memory and truth. A sudden gust swept Evelyn back through the gates, the mansion now transformed. The grand entrance shimmered, revealing an ancient staircase descending into depths unknown. The air was heavy with the scent of earth and forgotten stories. Guided by the pulse of the peacock feather, Evelyn stepped down into the darkness, the walls adorned with murals depicting the house's origin, a sanctuary built by mystics to guard knowledge too powerful for the world above. Deeper still, she found a hidden chamber, the heart of the house where time seemed to pause. Here lay a crystal prism, refracting the light of her feather into fragments that danced across the room. As Evelyn approached, the prism glowed, projecting visions into the air, tales of seekers past, their trials, their triumphs and failures. She saw the house was both guardian and prisoner, bound by ancient oaths to protect its mysteries. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a man cloaked in twilight, his eyes reflecting stars. "I am Saelim's true form," he said, "once a seeker like you, now the keeper of the house's legacy. The trials you faced were only the beginning." Evelyn listened as he revealed the house's secret, a powerful force nested within the mansion, capable of altering reality itself. But such power demanded balance, a choice that only the chosen could wield. Saelim extended a hand, offering Evelyn a choice: embrace the house's legacy and become its guardian, or leave, carrying its lessons but forever separated from its power. Torn but resolute, Evelyn reached out, feeling the pulse of the mansion through her veins. She chose to embrace, awakening a flood of memories and power, the house and she becoming one. The peacock feather glowed fiercely, sealing their bond. Evelyn's journey had transformed her from seeker to guardian, from lonely wanderer to keeper of ancient wisdom. Outside, the mansion stood silent once more, waiting patiently for the next soul brave enough to seek its secrets. The moment Evelyn embraced the house's legacy, a surge of power coursed through her veins like molten starlight. The mansion's walls breathed with life, and the whispers in the air shifted from mysteries to murmurs of welcome. She was no longer a visitor, she was part of the house itself, bound by an ancient covenant to guard its secrets and guide future seekers. But with great power came great burden. As Evelyn explored the vast halls anew, memories flooded her visions, not only of her own past but of every soul who had ever walked these corridors. She saw their hopes, their fears, and the choices that had led them here. The house was a tapestry woven from countless stories, each thread fragile yet vital. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoed through the halls, soft, ethereal, but tinged with sorrow. "Evelyn, you carry the weight of all who came before." Turning, she faced a shimmering apparition, her sister, radiant and sorrowful. "I have waited for you," the ghostly figure whispered. "To forgive, to heal, to release us all." Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes as the echoes of their past conflict resurfaced, words unspoken, wounds left raw. Together, they walked through the garden of forgotten dreams, where flowers bloomed with memories long buried. Her sister reached out, touching Evelyn's hand gently. "Let go of the pain. Embrace the light. Only then can the house and you find peace." Evelyn nodded, feeling the ancient magic of the house weaving their souls together in forgiveness and love. But the peace was fleeting. From the depths of the mansion, a dark presence stirred, an ancient shadow that opposed the light Evelyn sought to uphold. The house shuddered as the shadow of forgotten truths awakened, threatening to unravel the balance and consume the secrets within. Evelyn's heart pounded with resolve. She was the guardian now, and the battle for the house's soul had begun. With the peacock feather glowing fiercely at her side, Evelyn prepared to face the darkness, knowing that the fate of not just the mansion but countless souls depended on her courage and wisdom. The air in the House of Whispers grew thick with tension as Evelyn faced the encroaching shadow of forgotten truths. It was a swirling mass of darkness, ancient and hungry, seeking to consume the light she had fought so hard to protect. But Evelyn was no longer the timid seeker who first crossed the mansion's threshold. She was its guardian, imbued with the wisdom, courage, passion, and shadow that the trials had forged within her. The peacock feather in her hand pulsed with radiant colors, a beacon of hope and renewal. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn stepped forward, raising the feather high. The mansion responded, walls shimmered with golden light, and the air filled with a chorus of whispered voices, the echoes of past seekers lending strength. The shadow recoiled, its tendrils striking out, but Evelyn's light grew stronger, weaving a tapestry of illumination that pushed back the darkness. She remembered Seraphina's words, "Not all secrets bring peace. Some awaken deeper shadows." And yet, she understood that true power came from embracing both light and shadow, accepting imperfection, loss, and hope as intertwined threads of life. With a determined cry, Evelyn released the feather's energy, enveloping the shadow in a brilliant cascade of colors. The darkness screamed, then dissolved into sparkling motes of light that drifted into the mansion's air like stars. Silence fell, peaceful and profound. Evelyn felt the mansion settle, its heartbeat slow and steady, a home healed and whole. From the highest tower, the dawn broke, bathing the House of Whispers in soft golden light. Evelyn stood at the window, watching as the peacock, now real and radiant, spread its wings across the sky. Her sister's voice echoed softly in her memory, a gentle reminder of love and forgiveness. The house was no longer just a place of secrets and trials, it was a sanctuary of healing and transformation. Evelyn smiled, her heart full. The journey had changed her, not just as a seeker or a guardian, but as a woman who had learned to embrace her past and shape her future. As the first rays of the sun illuminated the mansion's mosaics, Evelyn knew the house would wait patiently for the next soul brave enough to walk its halls. and she would be there ready to guide, to protect, and to share the legacy of the House of Whispers. Title: The House of Whispers, A Journey Through Shadows and Light. Description: Step into the House of Whispers, a mystical mansion hidden between worlds, where every door leads to a new trial and every room reflects the deepest truths of the soul. Follow Evelyn Gray, a lonely librarian turned fearless seeker, as she unravels ancient puzzles, confronts shadows of her past, and embraces the power within to become the house's guardian. This epic tale of courage, forgiveness, and transformation weaves a mesmerizing journey through gardens of forgotten dreams, chambers of flames, labyrinths of whispers, and halls of mirrors, each step revealing secrets both beautiful and haunting. Will Evelyn unlock the mysteries that bind the house and herself? Or will the shadows consume all hope? Discover a story where light and darkness dance in eternal balance, and where every seeker must face their own truth. Join the adventure, and let the whispers guide you.